Good evening and welcome to the Limited of Adhesion GT3 League Season 5. We're at the penultimate round and this time we're in South America, Brazil. It's nice and hot down here and I'm sure the action is going to be even hotter on the track. Once again, I'm joined in the commentary booth by Random Dave. Welcome back, Dave. It's nice to see you after my couple of weeks break.
Yeah,
and thanks very much for Dirty Wednesday for filling in.
How was your holiday?
Yeah, it was pretty good actually, and if you're joining us for the first time, it's because I've added in or subscribed to the channel using my Airbnb's YouTube accounts. So welcome aboard, and it was nice staying with you. So this is our penultimate round, and it's going to be hopefully this track I think we've raced here before. I vaguely remember a Rumblebees car being pushed down the finish straight.
That's mainly what I remember it for. Yeah.
yeah. As we look at the championship standings, Jordy's Beckins is well out in front, and the title is almost all of his to clinch.
Oh, I don't know about that because the drop score situation. I think it's it's pretty close. I think I'd say it's pretty level between Ollie and Jordy.
Yeah, you could be right there. So yeah, Ollie behind him in 184 points. Steve Greening, the ever perennial Risky Racing Blue on 172. Rob Miller from the A team on 133. And we've got some others just down there. So it does look like the Alpha Esports will be taking the constructors, if I'm not mistaken. But first we'll just look at the championship standings in Club 1500. It's even closer there with Mark Innes on 186 and Dan Shaw on 166 points respectively. So I think those two are going to end up duking it out towards the end of the season. Gabriel Corolla on 148, Chris White on 110, and Daniel Hammond also on 107 points. So it looks like there's going to be a nice little battle between Chris, Dano, and actually Janeman Pruis as well on 103 points. Great stuff there. It's been quite an exciting season so far, hasn't it, Dave? It's been thrills and spills. Geordie was well out in front of the first two, but it looks like Ollie's got a charge on, and as we see the championship standings, Alpha Esports Red are all but won that Constructors Championship, which is congratulations to them, should that be correct. Risky Racing Blue and the A team are going to fight it out for second and third respectively, so that's going to be an interesting to see how that plays out over the next two races. And Black Dove Racing on 181, and we'll get a little way down to Sleepy Time Racing, of course, who possibly missed a couple of races due to some hardware issues.
Unfortunately, I think Rob from the A team's not going to be in this race because he's in the States with his F1 team.
Well, I know where I would rather be. But now moving on to the Club 1500, only Dan's out in front of 273, and could the Wizards catch them? Possibly, if they get their act together. That would be interesting to see how this race goes and see where we're at come the end of that. And Sleepy Time Racing Green in third place, holding off McLaren on 148, and we've got the other Wizards chasing them also. I believe Mr. Winslade has got a penalty to serve in this race from something happened in the previous race. So Ollie Walker taking pole there, as we can see on the leaderboard, 130.8. Very closely behind is his teammate, right on his shadow is Jordy. David Lyne there on third position and only 0.2 away. Michael Messenger in fourth with his teammate Greening in fifth. Harding, Ettridge and Barrow, Conception and Maxwell rounding out the top split. Mark Innes taking pole there for the Club 1500, cementing his title credentials, with Gabriel just behind him. Dan Shaw, so it's those three really that have been leading the way in the championship for the 1500s. Daniel Hammond there, Steve Pepper, Mark, Chris, Rich, Eric, Gareth there, Jake, and Troy Adams, who we've seen just in the last race as well, joining us again. So welcome back, Troy.
So surprisingly there, I think Conception's quite low down in ninth. That's unexpected. I also hear that in qualifying there was a little bit of towing going on between Ollie and Geordie. So they're in a funny position where they're working as a team but also as rivals. I mean, it's very charitable. I mean,
Yeah, it's nice to see them duking out and being competitive against each other as well. Different paint schemes. I vaguely remember them having both red and white, but I guess Geordie's possibly got a different paint scheme on this time round.
Also, the other thing there really is just Greening being down in 5th, like half second down, and I just, as usual, I don't believe he's half a second slower than the leaders here.
Yeah,
I think in a race it would be just as fast, but he just lacks that few tenths in qualifying for some reason.
Yeah, and I believe that possibly we've just seen Graham Bardsley in the pits, so he's starting from the pits. As we are about to get underway, pace car is about to pull into the pits. It is a long stretch down to turn 1, and it can cause quite a few frills and spills, being a very tight braking zone as they roll into the centre S's after that. So Ollie Walker gets underway. He's went early, and Barney's waving his green flag as they go almost 4 wide down the straight into 3, and Geordie gets down the inside of Ollie Walker. That's a fantastic move. They all seem to get away safely, but no, that's Winslade round. What's happened to Winslade? Wow, that was incredible. Looks like Winslade's been tipped over. They'll have to get the stewards to flip him back over.
I don't really know how he managed to tip over there. It's just like, I don't know, his car just decided just to go upside down. It's only caught.
Yeah, that was very strange.
If anybody can manage that, Winslade.
So Geordie leading the way now. He's taken advantage of having that inside line, so that was a bit surprising, but perhaps Ollie's just going to be sitting in behind for the time being as they all go in single file. Now, I'm not sure how great your Portuguese is, Dave, but my Portuguese is pretty limited to the centre S's and the Curva do Sol at the moment, so we'll have to bear with the corner names, but I think I've got the numbers at least.
Well, yeah, I mean, I went on holiday in Portugal, but I know nothing.
So as we're about to complete lap 1, Rick Barrow again, he's down quite low as well. I guess with being out for a few races,
he wants rid of this car.
Yeah,
he hates it.
Is that Ollie Etcher's trying to put off his stable mates there? And that's Conception right up the tail end of him.
It's got to be said, with the whole top split at the moment, you can see it's all the BMWs and then all the non-BMWs in this race.
It is indeed, yeah, and this is a fantastic tow opportunity. But it seems, they're going very close there. Conception just clipping the back of Ollie Ettridge, that pushes possibly Barrow up into 7th. Yeah, Greening's moved up to 4th now, so making a bit of progress.
I think he went up the inside of his teammate on the turn 1.
Ah, fantastic. So possibly a bit of sandbagging from Greening as we see Conception just moving into the inside, trying to force Barrow out, with Barrow's teammate Harding just watching on, waiting for any mistakes. In the Club 1500, it looks like Carollo's actually moved ahead of Shaw. In fact, if I'm not mistaken, so those two are going to be battling it out. There's only a half a second between those as we see Ollie challenging for the lead, and Geordie Speggins just grabbing that racing line. Yeah, a bit.
I mean, he may be content to sit there until line gets close to him.
Yeah,
then you're gonna force to do something about it, really.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ollie Etcher's trying to move those guys out of the slipstream. Lee Harding now ahead of his teammate.
It's a shame.
no
It's a shame
progress.
they're not going to use the Merc next season, because I reckon that that paint job's probably the best looking car.
Yeah, it's definitely like one you can instantly recognise. It's very smart indeed. Yeah, very professional looking.
Do you know who did that? Was it out of Lee and Rick?
I would have no idea, if I'm honest, but I'm sure they'll let us know in the Discord.
So looks like Line and Steve have caught up here.
Yeah, and this might be dangerous for David Line here, because I think Greening might have the toe on him. Let's see how the gap is between Line
I think they've all got a toe
Walker.
here. I think everybody's got a toe. So I think possibly the toe for Steve may be a bit less, because everybody else in front has a toe.
So Line and Greening just hanging on to these front two. Looks like Messenger's dropped off a little bit.
Oh, Steve's round.
Yeah. Oh, Steve. Schoolboy error there.
Wow, it's out of that corner you have to get on the power really early. Like you that's the kind of the trick to it. You just got to get on the throttle so early. And you can't get caught out.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate there, but let's see what happens for the remainder of the race. So Ollie back in front, and he's pulling away slightly with half a second lead. So let's see how that plays out. Interestingly, Messenger's managed to catch up to the back of Line in all of that.
Yeah, it's the four of them at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
They've got Etridge a little bit further back.
Yeah. Further down the field, it looks like Shaw he's trying to hang on to Corolla and Innes. He's about a couple of seconds behind, as we see a replay of the start. A couple of brake lights flashing just a bit, and that must have caught. Well, Ollie's caught himself out there, because Geordie managed to stay behind before the start-finish line.
Yeah, I don't quite understand how Geordie got the run on him as much as that. Like that looked like more on the toe. Like I don't know, like a gear not changed correctly or something.
Yeah, it's very strange. As we see, this incident with Gareth Winslade. Yeah, the barrier just kind of flipped him over. Like in Robot Wars, it was kind of like that.
Yeah, like a flipper.
Yeah, it's really strange. We just need Craig Charles to do some of the commentary with us now. But.
Yeah. Well, that would be good. We could say, we could send Gareth out in Robot Wars just dressed as a robot, couldn't we?
It might be like a Dalek or something like that.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, it's a four-way battle here for 5th position. Still ongoing. A bit of a train forming up behind Ettridge.
The clubbers aren't too far behind that lot.
Yeah, I was going to say Innes's fastest lap was almost equal to Walker's last time round. I think they were setting 1:32s. But Corolla's keeping up, which is quite interesting. And further afield, we've got Shaw, Pepper, Hammond, and Meesters all within range of each other, just about.
There's a hell of a toe, really, on this track. So, if you could just sort of keep, if you can keep the your last couple of corners really good and stay in touch, then even if you're a few tenths slower, you can stay with people.
Yeah. Oh, and we see Mark Innes going round. That's relinquished first position to Corolla, and Shaw's managed to get through. Pepper's through. Nightmare for Mark, and into the barrier as well, just for good measure. Yeah, very unfortunate. The winners so far seems to be Jake Weaver, who's made up 5 positions. Jason Weaver as well, up 3, with Meesters in 3 as well. So in that split, with Evan Conception made up 3, but he's looking for a 4th here. Can't quite make it stick. Yeah, it might be like like this situation for quite some time. We'll see how the pit stops play out, if they are just going to kind of filter through each other.
I think at the moment Conception's been, lamenting his choice in an Audi this season, but because all these BMWs are just seem to go off of it, but that Audi, in my opinion, is better to drive than the BMW. It's a really nice, enjoyable car to drive. Just bites you sometimes.
Yeah, we did see that. I vaguely recall Evan at Spa, where he had that incident where it kind of just threw him out.
BMW is just so good in the high-speed corners, so it's just so nice and stable. So, whereas the Audi, just in the middle of a high-speed corner, can just throw you off.
Yeah, that's true. Looks like McCann has just made a position with Mark further down the order. Not forgetting Bardsley, he's obviously started from the pits, but he's starting to make his way through the Club 1500 field.
What I don't get here is, why is Greening that far back? Because I know he spun, but did he look like he got a lot of damage? I thought he didn't hit the wall too much.
Yeah, we did see him start driving up the hill in the opposite direction, so perhaps he had to wait for
maybe
some of the clubbers
just got a bit lost.
Yeah.
Finding the track again.
Bit of a Brazilian detour, yeah. As we see Dan Shaw on the tail of, that looks like Stephen Maxwell in the Lamborghini. That's another one. Stephen Maxwell has shown a bit of pace, but it's just been quite unfortunate. He's had a few spins and crashes over the course of the season. But hopefully next season, clean slate, we'll see what he can do.
Yeah, I think also his pace as well has been sometimes with the front runners and sometimes half a second off. Like I think at Hockenheim, he set a lap which was up there with the fastest, and maybe at some other tracks as well. But other ones he's just lacked a few tenths really.
Yeah, as we've seen a great dive into turn one by Evan Conception, and a bit of a battle there between him and Ollie Ettridge. Ollie flashing his lights. I don't think he was pleased with the aggressive nature of it, but that's moved him down 3 places.
I thought that was alright.
Yeah, it looked just a bit of a squeeze, but it is what it is. Now he's made up 4 positions over the course of the race so far. So
yeah, Ettridge was at the front of this lot.
Yeah, he's lost out. So it looks like Crollo's now got roughly about 6.5 second lead in the clubbers over Dan Shaw. We'll see how that plays out, as Harding going a little bit wide there. Walker seems to have built a second gap to Speckin, so I wonder if that was, or is Speckin just taking his foot off the gas a little bit?
I think Ollie's just very, very fast around here, and Geordie's fast too, but I think in qualifying, I think Ollie gave him apparently I heard he gave him a little bit of a helping hand down the straight.
Interesting tactics there from the Alpha Esports guys, as Evan just goes a little bit too deep, but he managed to hold the position. But I think he might have to take the inside line here and protect his lead from Harding and Barrow. Ollie Ettridge also trying to get around. He's going to go up the inside here. He thinks better of it, but looks like Harding might try and make it stick. Is he going to have the pace round? He isn't. He's going to, looks like Conception lives to fight another day. So great battling here with those guys. So David Lyne's still hanging on there as well in third.
Yeah, it's pretty close to the top 3 there, and then Messages losing touch of them a little bit.
Yeah. But let's see if Messenger will end up getting dragged into this battle. But depends how the front here, if Evan can stay ahead.
He's got quite a gap at the moment. But he's just dropped quite a lot actually off the top three. I looked about 10 seconds ago and he was a second and a half off. Now he's 2.5 off. So see what that time set they do this time around. Yeah, look, there you go. It's a second.
So
must have had a bit of an issue.
Yeah, a bit of an issue going around one of the corners, most likely. So let's see how Sleepy Time Racing guys will battle this one out. Will they be happy to stay in position for the time being? As we see Gabriel Carollo and Dan Shaw. So something must have happened to Carollo there, because Dan Shaw's right on his tail. So we might get to see a replay of that. We'll soon find out. And he's desperate to get past Stephen Maxwell. It's not going to happen this time round. Back to this perennial battle. Seems to be, these guys have been battling since about lap 2. And back at the front here, Ollie's still leading the way. So here's what happened to Mark Innes. Just going too deep. Possibly cold tyres as well at that stage. Yeah, and this is Gabriel's view.
What's that?
I'm not sure if he's touched.
Was there a little bit of a touch? I mean, it was very close, but it's either that or maybe just caused Mark to go a little bit wider than he would do normally, just to give him space, caught him out.
Yeah, difficult one there. I'm sure perhaps our stewards will take a look at that one. As a nice move round there from Rick Barrow. I really had high expectations for Rick and Lee given last season's achievements, but it just hasn't come to fruition. And of course with the choice of car, a bit risky there, but
I mean the car, that like I think for a period of time dominated the top splits, isn't it? But you know, this is a preference thing, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. So it looks like Evan Conception and Lee Harding are just starting to pull away from Rick. But maybe being teammates, they want to try and tow each other along. Dan Shaw still fighting away for first position. Of course, he's got some title credentials. Chris Forrester, we haven't talked about him so far. He's now in the back of Mark Innes in 7th position here. Pretty average season for Chris, but I think he's definitely looking forward to next season. I think he hasn't reached his potential yet in this split, but I think he's going to be right up there for next season. He's definitely had a great F3 season. Going to be interesting to see how things unfold in 2023.
Yeah, I've seen him turn some good laps. It's just about stringing it all together, really. Yeah,
absolutely. So now it seems to be a double battle going on here. Ollie's still trying to get himself in the mirrors of Rick Barrow. It's going to be interesting if we have any incidents at the pit lane. It is known, especially with the single wheelers, to come in a little bit too hot. As we see Chris Forrester trying to make a move on Mark Innes, opts to go around the outside. Doesn't quite get it, but as they go through the centre S's, will he have the power early to go down the straight? He's a little bit too far away, but. And of course, that's Eric Pusey. We haven't seen him much this race as well. So, yeah, Eric holding down 5th for the time being as they all go off track there.
I'm not sure why is Mark flashing him. He's not lapping him, is he? Just psyching him out.
Yeah, just a little bit, I think. Yes, but they've got quite a way to Daniel Hammond, who's obviously sitting in 4th. There's about a 12-second gap now between those. So. Steve Pepper doing pretty well. I mean, I think Steve Pepper has probably been our most improved since he joined this season, where we've seen him, I believe, at Watkins Glen he was well down the order, but now we're seeing him regularly challenging for a podium. So massive respect for Steve, and really upping his game over the course, and look forward to seeing what he can do next season as well. So looking at the top two there, it looks like Speckens is closing the gap once again. Line's just a little bit off. We'll see how that plays out. It looks close between Rick and Ollie once again. This is only going to slow them down. In fact, you can see there's a bit of a gap brewing now between the two Sleepy Time Racing, as Ollie makes a move in the inside. Great move, and he's managed to hold it as well.
Yeah, I think Rick went a bit deep there.
Yeah, he did. So picking up that unforced error.
Yeah, it's definitely sort of ebbing and flowing a little bit between the top three. Sometimes you look up and it's half a second to one, second to the other, and the next couple of laps are sort of switched around, really.
Yeah, it's an interesting way it's working out, but I'm going to be interested to see how the pit stops work here. There's a lot of time to be gained depending on how confident you are on the brakes.
At least it's a nice simple kind of pit entry though, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Well, you say that. Mr. Line has got some history with pit lanes, but we'll see how that works out.
Yeah, but funny enough, not this one. Most others.
Let's hopefully not tempt fate on that one, as Gabriel Crollo just setting the fastest lap in the Club 1500s there. Didn't quite catch the time, but yeah, Gabriel putting his foot down now and trying to build a little bit of a gap away from Dan Shaw. Does look like it's going to be those two fighting for the top step of the podium. This is going to be interesting, so because Barra's just losing a little bit of time to Ettridge now as well, so whether he's heated his tyres a little bit too much by braking too hard in that error, he's just had to cool down a little bit.
Sometimes it kind of just helps just to back off a little bit and just cool down your head as well, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Focus.
Yeah, back to these front three. So it does look, line is just slightly dropping off, but of course, if these front two start battling again, they're almost in the 131s, which is quite good pace at this stage of the race. Of course, with the fuel load dropping a little bit.
It's Messenger in the background. Yeah, I mean the fuel load would be coming off, but the tyres would be getting a little bit slower.
Yeah, of course.
And the temps might be going up too. The track temps.
Yeah, you're right. Of course, with Interlagos being traditionally quite a hot track as well. Dan Shaw responding to Gabriel with his fastest lap, and Shaw now taking that fast lap of the split, reaching into the 132s. Chris Forrester just setting his fastest lap of the race so far of 33.1. He's still on the tail of Mark Innes, as we see Graham Barsley just getting past Steve Pepper. And that looks like Dana Hammond just in the background right behind Pepper, so Pepper going to have some competition for that last podium spot. That's going to be a nice battle to watch. Bit of a lonely race for David Line at the moment. He's just focusing on what's ahead of him, but
I think he's just sitting there within reach of them, just hoping that they start battling, really.
Yeah, indeed. So, yeah, another ongoing battle between Dan Shaw and Carollo here. Knowing Dan, you'd probably want to take the lead as soon as possible, but let's see if he's going to have the skills to get around Gabriel, who of course he'll want to hold him off.
I think
Dan might have the... Yeah, it looks like he's got the pace by about half a second or so.
I think to do a move into turn one there, you know, you've got to be right on their bumper.
Yeah, absolutely. Even though the track does have quite a few corners, there isn't too many you would really put your nose into, apart from obviously turn 1 and where we are here at the end of that other straight. We have seen Ollie, of course, do it here, but that's quite a brave move, but you can lose quite a lot of time doing so.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you see moves, but really what it is the other person doing a mistake, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. But like if you, there's just 2 paces, isn't there? Really.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a funny entry to the corner there. You just got to go well off the track.
Yeah. Oh, as Gabriel's made a mistake, and Dan Shaw capitalises on that and takes the lead. Gabriel's going to be kicking himself with that, just going a little bit too hot into that corner. Yeah, and you can see the way he's controlling the car. He's a little bit frustrated. He's on the power earlier than Dan there, so we'll see how that is going to go into turn 1. Dan's taking the inside line. In fact, he's pulling into the pits for a stop, so almost bang on halfway. Oh, and did he get it braked in time? That's going to be the question.
Yeah, that's brave.
Yeah, he was going in very hot, which I pointed out earlier might happen for a couple of people because it comes up quicker than you expect. Evan still out in front of Lee Harding, and Harding has closed to 3/10. Dan O'Hammond trying to make a move at the end of the back straight on Steve Pepper, doesn't quite do so. And that is Shaw back out from his pit stop, so he didn't get a penalty by the looks of it. So he did manage to get it slowed down just in time.
Well, if he got a penalty, would it? I don't think I've done that before. Do you get it immediately as soon as you go in the pits, or do you get it on the exit? The exit of the pits.
Can't say I've practiced that, to be honest, but it'd be interesting to see. I mean, I don't think is it a drive-through you would get for speeding? Possibly.
I should know that, but
I want to say you get a drive-through, but
I don't think I've done it. My habit is that I practice a few times going to the pits to try and nail it, and then when it comes to race, I completely bottle it and then slow down 100 meters too early.
So Mark Innes behind his title adversary, Dan Shaw. Is he? No, he looked like he was just going to go back in there for a second, but he's just faking it a little bit. Bit of fuel saving going on there for Mark. He's cutting the engine. Yeah, so I wonder if Dan and Mark have similar pace. We'll soon find out. Nothing really to gain for Dan and Mark to battle at this stage, really, because they're in different races in terms of positions. Dan are getting on the power early, still can't get around Steve.
Yeah, Steve went a very tight line there in defensive, and I'm not sure if he needed to, really.
Holding up in the top split as well.
It's proving quite hard to overtake, though, isn't it?
Yeah, there's not too many. You have to be quite brave, don't you? As we see Geordie only 3/10 behind Ollie here, and in fact, Geordie, he set his fastest lap of the race just a moment ago. In fact, Lyons managed to close the gap a little bit here, so perhaps he's still not out of it, as it looks like Steve Peppers just went into the pit lane for his stop. Ryan is closing the gap a little bit here, so that's going to be really interesting as to how that's going to continue.
Yeah, there's only 1.6 seconds between the top three at the moment.
Yeah. So, perhaps just a slight error from Geordie there. He's dropped back from Ollie. Lee Harding just can't quite get to that tail of Evan's car. He just, whenever he gets to a point where you think he might get to it, he starts to run away from him again.
He's pretty close, but yeah, I mean, you don't know what kind of downforce levels they're carrying, but my experience of trying to put less downforce on the Audi is that it just, well, it ends in a wall, really.
Yeah, that's true. David Line setting his fastest lap of 31.8, so that's pulled the gap away from Messenger quite substantially as well now.
He's probably getting, he's close enough to the top two to be getting a tow from them on the main straight.
Yeah, you're right there. Seems to be quite popular going off track at that part of the racetrack. It's easy to go wide coming off that long straight. Make the most of the wide curbing. Of course, there's no gravel there.
Yeah, you got to use the grasscrete, haven't you? Those bits of grasscrete. Is it called grasscrete? I think I've heard somebody calling it grasscrete once and assumed that they knew they were talking about. But where it kind of it's a cross between grass and concrete.
Oh, right, I see. That's interesting. First time I've heard of it.
Particularly on this, the entry to this is where you've got to be all the way over the grasscrete here, like driving as if that's the track. That's the grasscrete, and then you and then you can get the best exit possible from that corner to the main straight.
That's good to know, so I'll use that in the future.
Yeah, I mean, I think generally speaking, apart from Malton, if you see some grasscrete, you should be driving on it. Really,
right?
Because it's quite grippy, and most of the time it's not an off track.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I guess they have some at Brands Hatch as well, don't they? Down
Brands Hatch. Brands Hatch is the track that's crazy for grasscrete. You're basically on grasscrete more often than you're on the concrete.
Geordie's fell back quite a way now, so I wonder if he's going to think about pitting if he's losing a little bit of time here. Cool the tyres a little bit. Crollo is still out in the lead of 1500 for now. We'll see if he'll be pitting. Most of these cars will be pitting shortly now, I believe. Quite a spread in the 1500 class at the moment.
So Line's caught right up with Geordie there.
Yeah. Well spotted, yeah. So it is coming to fruition for David Line here, so really going to put him in contention.
Geordie's still going to be getting a tow from Walker there. So, yeah, I mean, it's a double tow sort of. But.
Yeah, it's going to be close. We see Greening in the pits and Eric Pusey also in the pits. We haven't seen too much of Eric, of course. Our resident Belgian competitor. I always wondered why David Line has a Belgian flag on his display.
I think it was he chose shortly after Brexit when he was feeling a bit down about being British. But I think he also has a Belgian grandmother.
Fair play. So we haven't seen much of the Weavers. Jake and Jason are racing today as well, and they've been doing quite well in their oval division. It's really been a great season so far for the oval drivers. A whole host of new drivers coming in, and really great racing, as you might see on our channel if you check out the videos. And if you want to join any of our leagues, you're more than welcome to hit us up in Discord and sign up. We're looking for new drivers to join for the upcoming season. Not only for GT3, we've got I think we've got the Lotus, haven't we, for next season in the open wheelers? It's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, Lotus 79.
Yeah, so yeah, taking it all the way back. That's going to be. I think we've got some kind of retro teams or retro liveries going to be appearing as well. So that's going to be really cool to see on the videos.
I think we need to start. I think all the commentary ought to be done retro as well. And just retro style. And yeah, everybody needs to call each other chap. And there's going to be no penalties. We're just going to shake each other's hand and say sorry, old chap. And we're all going to have moustaches.
Yeah, that'd be absolutely. Yeah, we can have like a driver photos as well with everyone with a moustache. That would be absolutely brilliant. Even if we have women drivers as well, they can join in. That's fun.
Yeah, I mean, none of the rest of us can grow moustaches anyway. Where only a few of us can.
So, line really is drawing in. Geordie here's under half a second now. Messenger's a little bit far back. It really is out on his own at the moment, so lonely race for him as well. But saying that, if these lots start battling, he will quickly join them, as we see Steve Pepper making a move on Jake Weaver. That's a great dive. I think perhaps Steve has taken his pit stop by the looks of it. Yes, he has. Jake in the ever recognisable Porsche, or Porsche, we should say rather. Jake's doing pretty well this race, up into 7th position, so that's great. And still with pit stops and things to play out. You might be able to tow onto the back of Pepper. That was David Lyne taking his pit stop. Gets away cleanly.
Slightly early stop there, I think.
Yeah, a little bit.
One of the first top split.
Perhaps he felt he was going to get held up slightly by Speckins and didn't want to. Thought he might just try and chance it, but
I think sometimes if you're stuck behind people for a whole race, you've got to try something a bit different, haven't you?
Yeah, in fact, he came out just behind one of the wizards there, who kindly lets him past. As we see a flurry of Club 1500 cars coming into the pits. Carollo, Hammond, Forrester all in, so it looks like they're responding to each other. As it looks like Shaw is now going to take the lead. That is interesting. Still an ongoing battle between Weaver and Pepper there. Silly season's also coming up. Yeah.
21.6.
Wow, he's really putting the hammer down now. Silly season coming up as well, so get signed up for that if you haven't done so already. Great fun in the off season. Some thrills and spills with some great events. As we see all the top split drivers now opting to pit, filing in. So the pit crews will be busy. Ollie's stayed out, interestingly, so he's managed to bag himself some extra fuel. Mark Innes as well. Yeah, so Shaw now leading from effectively Carollo. And in fact, Shaw has now just set his fast lap of that split at 132.6. So that's quite fast in comparison to some of the other drivers. So that Jake Weaver coming in for his pit stop. Can he break it down nicely before the yellow cone? Great stuff there. Mark Innes getting away.
I think Greening's given up. I saw earlier on somebody overtaking him in the pits, and he's still there.
Yeah, and it looks like Winslade as well. So yeah, something's happened to those two. Looks like Troy Adams hasn't made the start by the looks of things. Ollie Walker now in the pits, so this is going to be really interesting to see how close it's going to be between Speckins and Line. In fact, there goes Geordie round the pit area.
Line did hit a little bit of traffic, didn't he? He just set his fastest lap there, but he had a bit of traffic coming straight out the pits.
Yeah, we'll see how much that costs in terms of net time. No way, Ollie's actually managed to get, by the looks of it, or at least he's managed to get out in front. That's incredible. I really thought Speckins was going to get round the outside of the pit wall in front of him, so that hasn't happened, that hasn't materialised. He's actually put 3.6 seconds in front. So
yeah, but the gaps between all three of them have opened up a little bit. But the one between Walker and Geordie more so.
That's really interesting to see how that has happened, because of course there might be slightly less fuel going into Ollie's car, but I really didn't expect such a large gap. I don't think Geordie got held up too much, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, Ollie pitted a lap later, didn't he? So that's one more lap where you've got no fuel on board.
Yeah.
So at your absolute maximum, I guess. But I mean, Geordie would be out of Walker's slipstream now. So, I mean, Line's a couple of seconds back, but that might be interesting to see if that means that Line can close up a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. As Geordie
not
does
have
a little bit of, only 5 minutes remaining, and in fact Geordie does have a bit of traffic. As we see, Lee Harding's managed to catch up to Michael Messenger, interestingly. And Conception's dropped all the way back to 8th. So just looking at that briefly, a 1:41. That's too quick to be a pit stop, I think. So I think you have to be in the 150s. So something must have happened to Evan to drop him all the way back.
Yeah, he's dropped a long way back, hasn't he?
Yeah, he's dropped a good 4 positions.
But in terms of time as well, there's good 12 seconds, I say.
Yeah.
13 seconds.
Yeah, he's lost a lot of time there.
I mean, possibly overshot his pit, but I think that normally costs you about 3 or 4 seconds.
Yeah, it's too much. Forrester's managed to get ahead of Innes as well, as we remember seeing that battle earlier on. So Chris has managed to move ahead of Mark. Yeah, so now Evan's got it all to do again. It's going to be quite difficult to get around Rick Barrow. As Walker sets another fastest lap, he's really on it. And 4.5 seconds to Speckins.
Geordie's, I mean, Line did a 31.7, Walker 31.5. So I mean, not long left here, but Line's just got half a second on there.
So a couple of laps remaining in the Club 1500. It's Shaw ahead of Carollo, Hammond, Pepper's just behind him, so Hammond's got ahead. Forrest has got ahead of Innes, who are in 5th and 6th respectively, with Jake Weaver in 7th. Mark is in 8th, with Eric Pusey in 9th. Rich Meesters, I haven't seen too much of him today, so he's in 10th, with McCann in 11th, and Jason Weaver in 12th. Bardsley is a lap down, so he might have had an issue at some point.
Well, Bardsley likes to start from the pits, doesn't he? And just have just have a bit of a laugh, really, just enjoyable sort of race overtaking people, which is sort of fair enough, but it does mean that obviously you open yourself up to having more show-stopping problems than you trying to get through people.
Yeah, that's correct. But nice little challenge for Graham. I guess he likes to kind of see how many clubbers he can get round in the race. As it looks like Rick Barrow's coming into a little bit of traffic, and that's going to put in fact they move kindly out the way. going to be interesting to see if, I think that gap between Speckins and Line is a little bit too much for him to cover over the next lap or so.
Yeah, with one lap left, it's not enough time really.
Yeah, but it is close between these two. Evan might be able to get his nose in front here.
So we were saying, well, is this going to help or hinder? Or either way. So this is
he's going for it. He's going for it.
I mean, it's the only other place you can do a move, isn't it? It's that corner.
Absolutely.
But is he going to run wide? No, it's all right.
He's got the brakes. He's anchored the brakes down really well. In fact, we've seen it. That's twice we've seen him put it in the inside and get it the brakes nice and.
It's really harsh
controlled.
for an off track on the exit of there, but I mean, that only really hurts you in qualifying. In the race you can do it a few times.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so pretty large gap between Shaw and Carollo now, so Carollo must have had an issue, as it looks like Ollie Walker's just going to get through for one more lap. Yeah, opening up in a 5-second gap now, so it's worked very well for him. Harding putting in his
there.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to go right down to the wire for the title if this plays out. There's Walker and Speckins.
This makes you wonder, seeing Harding doing a 31.8 like that, because that's sort of front-running sort of pace, really. It just makes you think if you'd done it earlier in the race, you'd be up there.
Yeah, what could have been for Lee Harding? Yeah, definitely. Yes, I suppose he got caught in that kind of train with Evan Conception at Ettridge and obviously his teammate.
Yeah, all the battling can slow you down, can't it?
Yeah, definitely.
You kind of always think, well, let's just work together to try and make our ways forward, but you never do.
It never happens, does it?
So Line's caught up half a second, but there's no time left.
Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to materialise. So, Ollie Walker here in Sao Paulo, lights flashing at Interlagos, takes the win. Congratulations, Ollie. Great drive. Weaving in and out as he does. Great result for him. And great race. Jordy Speckins takes second. What could have been. And David Line takes a very respectable third. He just couldn't make it work in the end. Mike Messenger in fourth. That was a solid performance for him. And Lee Harding in fifth. So it's a nice recovery drive for Lee. Ollie Ettridge in sixth, with Evan coming home in seventh. Managed to get ahead of Rick Barrow. So a couple of great moves from Evan today. Rick Barrow, he will be looking forward to the end of the season and getting back on track with a new car. Steve Maxwell in ninth. It's a pretty lonely race for him. So Dan Shaw taking the win there in Club 1500. Great performance from him. In fact, quite dominating in the end, because it's a 10.5 second gap to Gabriel Carollo, who takes second. He should be pleased with that. It's still a great result for him. Dan O'Hammond takes the last podium position, and indeed some more points for Only Dan's. Steve Pepper, well done to him. Great result for him. Well done, Steve. That's a great fourth position. And Chris Forrest taking fifth, ahead of Mark Innes. A little bit disappointing day at the office for Mark. What could have been with that spin. Jake Weaver, Mark. Rich Mises has just came home as well. And some of the others like Eric Pusey and McCann have already finished.
It's a bit of a shame about Greening though, really. I think he had an outside shot at the championship prior to this race, but that spin into turn one and into it, I think.
Yeah, as we see the race results, Ollie Walker taking first with George Speckins, David Line rounding out the top three, Michael Messenger, Lee Harding, Ollie Ettridge, Evan Conception, Rick Barrett, Stephen Maxwell round out the top 9 of the top split, and I believe Graham Bardsley, as we see there, just finished at the bottom. Dan Shaw took the win there in Club 1500, followed by Gabriel Carollo, Dan O'Hammond, Steve Pepper, Chris Forrester, Mark Innes, Jake Weaver, Mike Zeff, Rich Meesters, Eric Pusey, Stephen McCann, and Jason Weaver there, rounding out the Club 1500 lot. So as these don't include the drop weeks, so Jordy Speckins on 297 and Ollie Walker on 236, so it looks like it's going to be those two that duke it out into the final round. Steve Greening looks like he's got third, but we'll see if Rob Miller makes an appearance as well in the closing rounds, with Lee Harding just behind him. So Lee's doing not too bad considering the performances of this season. David Line moves a couple of positions up as well. Evans dropped a position and he's on 111 points, and it's a little way down to Stephen Maxwell, Mike Messenger. And we haven't seen Philip Forrest for quite some time. In fact, I think the first 2 races of the season. Don Parker missing because I believe he got married and was on his honeymoon, so congratulations to Don Parker and wife. It's now a life of sim racing that his wife's going to have to put up with.
Unless we never see him again.
Yeah, that's true. In Club 1500, Dan Shaw leading the way in 217 points, taking the lead from Mark Innes as we go into the final round. Although Mark Innes might have the kind of advantage over the drop weeks at the moment as it stands. Gabriel Carollo in third, Daniel Hammond in fourth, overtaking Chris White, who's in fifth. We've got Mark Yanneman, Steve Pepper, Eric Pusey, and Stu Gerber, who we didn't see today. In fact, rounding out the top 10, Gareth Winslade. Really odd incident to happen to him today. He's probably wondering what happened there. Chris Forrester in 12th. Roberto Costa, who didn't appear today as well, and there's Rich Meesters as well. Alpha Esports read well out in front in terms of the teams, so championship is all but theirs, and I guess they'll just be polishing off the trophy for that. Risky Racing Blue in second position, and it's quite close between them and the A team, to be honest with you, so only 4 points separating them. Black Dove Racing with 203 points, and CP Time Racing just about 43 points or so away from them. Yeah, and the other ones, I guess, have had sporadic appearances across the season.
I think Sleep Time's championship's been quite hurt by Rick discovering asbestos in his house.
Yeah, I heard about that. So yeah, really unfortunate thing to happen. But he's back now, so that's the main thing. Only Dan's well out in front in the Club 1500. So again, the title might be theirs for the taking there. So well done to Only Dan's. The Wizard of Liston Coast Transmutation in second, have pulled away from Sleepy Racing Green, and Claret in fourth. And actually DSR have managed to pull closer to them, in fact, in fifth position, so there might be a position change towards the end of the season between those two as well. If it depends how things happen. So yeah, what did you make of that race? It seemed, for me, there wasn't too many overtakes, but it was kind of interesting to see how things played out with those front three, and actually the other four that in the top split as well. There was some nice moves, especially from Evan today.
Yeah, there's a few moves, not a huge amount. There's just a lot of sort of ebb and flow, but I just also like the track. I can just watch cars, virtual or real cars, just going around it. Really, I'm happy.
Yeah, it was I think it's a track everyone enjoys, and it's some nice open racing. So yeah, hopefully we'll see it again. We'll see how next season plays out, but we do have one more race still to go, and I believe do you know where that is, Dave?
American Road.
Road American Road, of course. Yeah, so that's going to be a great one to see as well. Hopefully you join us in a couple of weeks' time, where we'll see how the championship plays out in the final race, all to play for some people and not for others, so we'll soon find out how that goes. So it's goodbye from us in Brazil. Do you want to say goodbye, Dave?
Yeah, goodbye. Night.
See you next time.
Cheers.